Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Against the Odds. So last week we had an all-infinite combo poll in Modern, and coming out on top was Niv-Mizzet the Firemind and Curiosity, a combo that lets you essentially deal infinite damage and draw infinite cards. It's kind of technically not infinite because you run out of cards eventually, but essentially an infinite combo. That beat out a combo of Composite Golem and Nim Death Mantle, which can create infinite mana. However, we have a bit of a twist this week. As I was building the Niv-Mizzet deck, I realized that perhaps this was also a home for the Composite Golem plus Nim Death Mantle combo. So we kind of have a 2-for-1 this week on Against the Odds. This is a Niv-Infinite deck, or Niv-Mizzet Infinite Combo deck. However, it has a second Infinite Combo built in as well, so I'm really excited for this one. A quick reminder before we break it all down, if you enjoy Against the Odds, and you would enjoy this Niv-Infinite deck, take a minute, click that subscribe button down in the corner of your screen. It's a great way to support the channel and the site for free. So let's talk Niv-Infinite in Modern. So first off, the namesake combo, Niv-Mizzet the Firemind and Curiosity. So here's how this works. Niv-Mizzet is a bit expensive, 6 mana, you get a 4/4 flyer, but it says whenever you draw a card, it deals a damage to target creature or player, plus you can tap it to draw a card. Curiosity is a 1-mana enchantment that says whenever enchanted creature deals damage, you may draw a card. So if we can get a Curiosity on a Niv-Mizzet and then draw a card, we start this infinite loop with Niv-Mizzet where it pings our opponent for 1, triggering Curiosity, which draws us a card, which lets us ping our opponent for 1 with Niv-Mizzet, which lets us draw with Curiosity and ping with Niv-Mizzet and draw with Curiosity. Hopefully this will just kill our opponent after like 20 iterations. It also can just let us draw our entire deck, and if we draw our entire deck, we can probably find a way to win just from drawing so many cards anyway, but ideally it'll just kill the opponent on the spot, ping them to death 1 point at a time while also drawing us a ton of cards. So that's kind of what this deck is built around. The challenge of Niv-Mizzet is it's super slow for Modern. It's 6 mana. A lot of times in Modern you're dead on turn 3, turn 4, so just playing a 6 mana creature, hoping to untap with it the next turn to play Curiosity on it, that is a tough sell. So I considered the tried and true Blood Moons and Ensnaring Bridges, but I decided to go a different direction. Instead of trying to slow our opponent down with Blood Moons and Ensnaring Bridges and that stuff, we're going to try to speed our deck up a bit with the help of Heartless Summoning. So Heartless Summoning makes our creatures cost 2 less to cast, also gives our creatures -1, -1. So it has a downside, but the downside isn't that bad. Our Niv-Mizzet can combo off just as well as a 3/3, although it's a little annoying because it can die to Lightning Bolt and Lightning Helix, but the combo works the same if Niv-Mizzet is a 3/3 as it does as a 4/4. And if we have a Heartless Summoning on turn 2, we can potentially play our Niv-Mizzet on turn 4, start comboing off on turn 5, then we're kind of getting into the right speed range for a Modern deck. Heartless Summoning also lets us play some other really sweet stuff. First off, we get Mauldrifters and Shriek Maws, so these cards are really crazy if we have a Heartless Summoning, and they're kind of fine on their own. So Mauldrifter, we can evoke it for a single blue mana and draw 2 cards, which is pretty absurd. That's if we have a Heartless Summoning. We can also just cast it with Heartless Summoning for 3 mana, and then it's like a literal divination that leaves behind a flying blocker. Shriek Maw, on the other hand, is 1 mana, kill a non-black, non-artifact creature, also pretty good. Can also be a attacker with Fear. We cast it for 3 mana, it stays on the battlefield as a 2/1 with Heartless Summoning out. The nice thing about Fear is it's really hard to block. Unless we're against some very specific decks, it's pretty close to unblockable, which means in the early game, on like turn 3, we can put a Curiosity on Shriek Maw and just draw some extra cards that way to find our combo pieces. We also get some artifacts, which are kind of just extra stuff. Spellskite is a combo with Heartless Summoning pretty much, also really great at protecting our combo. Like I said, one of the problems with Niv-Mizzet, especially with Heartless Summoning, Lightning Bolt, Lightning Helix, Path to Exile, Dismember, you name it, pretty much all the removal in Modern can kill it. Well, we can play Spellskite for free if we have a Heartless Summoning, because it's 2 mana, gets reduced by 2, and then we can use Spellskite to protect our combo from targeted removal. Phyrexian Metamorph, can be 1 mana clone if we have a Heartless Summoning, so it copies a Muldrifter to draw more cards, copies a Spellskite for additional protection, a Shriekmaw to kill something, or one of our opponent's things if they have a huge threat. And Solemn Simulacrum, just kind of for value, at 2 mana with a Heartless Summoning out, really powerful, lets us fix our mana. Niv-Mizzet does have a pretty intensive mana cost. Even with Heartless Summoning, we need 2 blue and 2 red, so it's a good way to get around that. Draws us a card, just kind of filler, but reasonable. And then we have our second combo. So when I was building a deck, I realized we probably didn't want to just 100% depend on the ability to get a Curiosity on Niv-Mizzet and then untap with it and win that way. We wanted to kind of speed things up a bit, because I think we could, with good draws and Heartless Summoning and so forth, I think we can get a Niv-Mizzet down. I think we can get a Curiosity on it, but we still have the problem of having to draw a card somehow, or wait till our next turn to draw and win that way. So we wanted to speed it up and make it so we could win all at once. So we actually have our runner-up combo from last week's voting of Composite Golem and Nim Deathmantle. And Nim Deathmantle, it works in a bunch of different ways, but the main combo is you play your Nim Deathmantle on turn 2, play Composite Golem. You can sack Composite Golem for 5 mana. For 4 mana, you activate your Nim Deathmantle, get it back, so you're gaining 1 mana each time you do this. So in the end, you get infinite mana of any color, and this plan works really well with the other stuff we're doing in our deck. With Heartless Summoning, we can go infinite on turn 4, just like turn 2 Nim Deathmantle, turn 3 Heartless Summoning, turn 4 Composite Golem, infinite mana, hopefully win the game on the spot. We also can use our Heartless Summoning plus Evoke creatures to do some neat tricks with Nim Deathmantle. So, for example, we got 5 mana, we got our Nim Deathmantle out, we can evoke a Muldrifter for 1 mana. It dies, which will trigger Nim Deathmantle, pay the 4 mana, get it back, we're drawing 4 cards, and we have a Muldrifter, same with Shriekmaw, so there's some neat tricks there. Muddle the Mixture can get Heartless Summoning, can get the Nim Deathmantle, so it kind of helps with both parts of our combo. But the big payoff for this is Whispers of the Muse. So we make infinite mana. Whisper of the Muse is 1 mana, draw a card, or 6 mana, draw a card, return Whisper of the Muse to your hand, thanks to buyback. So we can draw our entire deck with the infinite mana we make from Composite Golem, which will draw us into our Niv-Mizzets, the rest of our combo pieces, and remember, we have infinite mana so we can cast them. So if we get the Composite Golem combo going, we can Whisper the Muse to our deck, which is going to draw us into Niv-Mizzet, and then we put the Curiosity on Niv-Mizzet, and we don't have to wait to untap. Whispers of the Muse draws us a card right away, which will start the damage chain with Niv-Mizzet, ping our opponent, draw a card, ping our opponent, draw a card, ping our opponent, draw a card. So this is another way we can kind of backdoor into the infinite Niv-Mizzet combo, is by using Composite Golem, and it's very powerful with our Heartless Summoning package, so everything kind of fits together. The Evoke creatures work with Heartless Summoning and Nim Deathmantle. Composite Golem works with Nim Deathmantle and Heartless Summoning, also supports Niv-Mizzet. Niv-Mizzet is our main combo, but it works with Whispers of the Muse. Whispers of the Muse speeds up our combo, but that's enabled by Composite Golem, so we have a pretty synergistic deck. Of course, we're talking about a bunch of like 2 to 3 card combos that are still kind of expensive. If we don't have a Heartless Summoning, they're super expensive, but hopefully we can find a way to put the right pieces together and go infinite in mana, which will get us infinite into Niv-Mizzet, or we can just go infinite with Niv-Mizzet. So I'm really excited. We have a ton of combos in this deck. As far as the mana base, pretty straightforward. Some fetch lands, some shock lands, some basic lands, also a couple of ghost quarters for Tron and creature lands, and a Desolate Lighthouse to help cycle through our deck. In the sideboard, we got ways to protect our combo. Thoughtseize gets a removal spell out of our opponent's hand. Dispel and Negate is another way to protect from targeted removal, like Lightning Bolt on our Niv-Mizzet. We have Grafdigger's Cage and Relic to fight against Dredge and Snapcaster decks. Vandal Blast for affinity. Steel Hellkite is also pretty sweet. This is awesome against decks that are kind of going wide with tokens or small creatures. We can cast it for 4 mana if we have a Heartless Summoning, and when it deals combat damage, we can pay X and destroy all non-land permanents our opponent controls with that converted mana cost. So if our opponent has a bunch of 1-cost creatures, Goblin Guides and Wild Nakatos and Swift Spears, we kind of wrath our opponent's entire board with Spellskite for a cheap price, and Sudden Shock is great against Infect, good against Affinity and Ravagers and stuff, helps against some of those combo-y aggro decks, and a single Fulminator Mage as additional land destruction, and that is Niv-Infinite in Modern, featuring not one but two infinite combos. So can this deck work is a big question, and I think the answer is yes with a but. It can work. We can potentially win as early as turn 4 with our best hands, which isn't that bad for Modern. Turn 4 is passable for a competitive Modern deck. The problem is we need a lot of things to go right. To get turn 4 kills, we got to have a Heartless Summoning. We're likely going to need Composite Golem plus Whispers of the Muse to make infinite mana, which also requires Nim Death Mantle. Then we're going to need to draw into our Niv-Mizzet and Curiosity. So we're looking at like a combo of 3 or 4 cards to win on turn 4. On the other hand, it doesn't take that many cards. We have 2-card combos. I mean, we can just play a Niv-Mizzet, we can put a Curiosity on it and win the game. We can Composite Golem with our Nim Death Mantle, draw our entire library and win the game. So we have some combos that aren't that intensive in as far as the number of cards required to actually pull them off. The thing is, they're just slow. So that's a big problem. I feel like this deck is going to rely fairly heavily on having a Heartless Summoning to speed it up, because Modern is just so aggressive, and if we're playing a deck that isn't aggressive, they're likely going to be overloaded on removal, which is another way to deal with our combo. So we have some problems there. So we're really hoping to have Heartless Summoning, and then we're just really hoping to draw the right pieces of our combos at the right time. That's the other kind of the problem. We could draw Dim Death Mantle with Niv-Mizzet, and that doesn't really help us combo off. We can draw a Curiosity with our Composite Golem. That doesn't really help us combo off. So we're hoping to always have a Heartless Summoning on turn 2 if we can, and then just draw the right parts of our combos at the right time, and we can be pretty explosive and win. Unfortunately, I assume the odds of this are relatively low, but I think that we can get there eventually if we stick with it. So, and hopefully it's fun along the way. The good news is, even when we're losing, we're probably going to be losing while we're casting Muldrifters and Shriekmaws and Phyrexian Metamorphs and maybe making infinite mana and all that kind of stuff. So even when we're losing, we get to do stuff that's pretty sweet, which hopefully will make the losing at least kind of fun. So anyway, that's Niv-Infinite for Modern, and that's our Against the Odds for this week. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy the gameplay videos, and I will talk to you soon.